Buonasera. This evening I'll be making a Sicilian, typical Sicilian pasta dish, but I will be making it in a donut tin using aubergines. And the aubergines will be on the outside, and there will be a nice round dish which will be looking very pretty and amazing. I will be looking to use some Sicilian anelletti, which are typical of Sicily. Difficult to find in the UK, but you can use any type of short pasta like macaroni, that'll be perfectly okay. But I want to replicate as much as possible the Sicilian tradition today. So let's see how it goes. Let's go cracking. I've got 3 aubergines and the oven is on at 180 degrees. I will be removing the bum from each aubergine and using a bread knife very carefully just slice them. And slice them keeping the aubergine upright, and just take your time here because it is important that they are done quite accurately. Approximately between 1/2 centimeter and 1 centimeter thick each slice, just like this. Just take your time and make sure that they are straight, as well as keeping your fingers, of course. Do not cut them too thin, otherwise they will burn in the oven.
I've got a question. Why do you call it the bum?
The bum. This is the head, this is the bum. Because I will explain in a little while when they go in the tin, what they call the bum. Well, something has got to have a bum. Everybody's got a bum.
I would have thought, I would have thought this was the. I would have thought that was the head. Okay. Just using logic of how it hangs on the plant.
Maybe it is the head. I call it the bum.
Oh. I thought you'd got some sort of
fetish.
No, just some sort of logic.
No, it's just me. This tin I'm using today has got a volume of 1.5 litres, I measured it earlier, so it must probably be good enough for 3 to 4 people. So I will be cooking for 4 people today, although it's only 2 eating, so some will be left over, hopefully. I've used 3 aubergines, and but the description of the video will provide you the amount of ingredients you need. I've got an oven tray and some baking paper, which actually I am reusing from before. And lay your aubergines, even if they overlap, it doesn't really matter. Pour a little olive oil in a bowl, and using a brush, just brush each aubergine, and do not use more oil than this, because aubergines are well renowned to absorb a lot of oil, and there is no need. So this will be a healthier way of cooking them. And I will also be sprinkling a little salt, again not a lot of salt, just a little. I'm going to keep back some of the smaller pieces because I do not need all of them, and I will use them in my sauce. So, and keep the prettier and bigger pieces for my masterpiece later. I think that's enough. And I will be popping this in the oven, which is on a temperature now at 180 degrees for the next 20 minutes. The less pretty bits, I'm going to chop them up and make little cubes. I'll pour a little olive oil in a little frying pan and I put them in. Place them on the hob on a high temperature to start with until they start sizzling. Then you turn the temperature down on a medium to low temperature, number 4 out of 9 in my case. I'll put the lid on and I'll let them just cook for 10 to 15 minutes until they're done. Next I'll be making a ragu. So I'll start with a little olive oil in a pan. Next I will be adding a small carrot which I've already chopped and cleaned and sliced, and also a small onion. This is a red onion. You can also use a small white onion. I put the vegetables on the hob, and they've been sizzling now for a couple of minutes, and at this point I will be adding 350 grams of beef mince and pork mince combined, so it's 50-50 combined. Again, this is a Sicilian recipe, but if you want to use only beef mince or only pork mince, by all means go ahead. Keep the temperature fairly high, and not necessarily on maximum, but fairly high. And as you will see, there is a lot of water that is still there that needs to evaporate before we can continue. Also try and mash it down so that the mince is as small as possible. So we are there now. As you will notice, the bottom of the pan has got some mince which is beginning to get stuck to it, and that is exactly what we want. Before we can then add some wine. I've got here a third of a glass of white wine, and I'll go in. And as soon as that goes in, you will see that it will completely clean the bottom of your pan, and will release all of those lovely juices back into the meat. Stick your head above it, and when there is no more smell of alcohol, it's time to add some passata. This is 400 grams of passata.
1 carton?
1 carton, yes. Well, 1 carton in this country. Then I'll turn into a medium to low setting, and I'll cover it with a lid. Ironically, this lid is not made for this, but look, isn't that perfect?
It's a perfect fit, isn't it? Yeah. It is so old.
Yeah, and I'll leave it to now simmer for approximately 25 minutes to half an hour to cook the sauce. In the meantime, I'll be cooking the pasta. So I've put some water to boil. I will add 1 level teaspoon of salt, and I'll be putting in my anelletti now. This is 200 grams. They will need approximately 7 to 8 minutes to cook. So I'm just gonna leave them alone to do their own thing. In the meantime, I'll show you the aubergines and when to judge if they're cooked or not. You will see that some of them are almost transparent, like for example this one, and also very, very soft. So those will be cooked. Whereas some of them are not, like this one, you can see that it's whiter. So they're almost there. Another couple of minutes really. We can just turn them off now. Most probably they'll finish cooking in their own heat. But generally, when you can see that they are almost transparent is when they're done. So the aubergines have been out of the oven now for a few minutes to cool down slightly. You will see that they've got a nice golden crust on some of them, which is absolutely perfect. And the next job is to slightly oil the bottom of my donut tin. I'm going to use the same brush as before. This will make it easier for the invention to come out.
We hope.
We hope, yes. And this is where the artwork begins. I'm going to be placing my aubergines inside the donut tin with the bum on the inside part of the tin. And just overlap them slightly, ever so slightly. You do not have to be precise, but as much as you can, really. And this is the almost finished product before we start filling it with our ingredients. Okay. So the sauce is ready, it's cooked, and I want this sauce to be not too dense but also not too liquidy. And the pasta is also cooked. I've drained it and I'm going to add it to the sauce. And we give it a nice healthy mix. And you could eat it almost as it is. It smells lovely already.
I can eat it now, yeah.
I think I might have made a little bit more than what we need, but I don't think it's a problem here.
No.
Before I start, I'll just sprinkle a very little amount, literally almost nothing, of breadcrumbs. Again, trying to replicate the original recipe. Also, as I'm working in reverse, I'll do a little layer of Parmesan cheese, which I already grated. And I'll put some of my delicious pasta in. I'm going to use a dessert spoon to compact it down so that every egg pocket is filled with pasta. Earlier I boiled a couple of eggs and I've sliced them into pieces, and I'm just going to add them in now. All of them. Try and distribute them evenly. Also, I've got a mozzarella. This is a fresh mozzarella which I'm going to put in the middle as well, again replicating in its entirety the Sicilian recipe. I've also got a few slices of cheddar cheese, and again you can use whatever cheese you prefer, but I've got cheddar in the fridge. I think Edam would also go quite well here. You can be quite generous with the cheese because I'll make it nice and stringy afterwards. And either push it with your hands again before we do the final layer of pasta, or with a spoon if you prefer. Little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese, why not?
Why not indeed?
And we are going to be closing the door with another layer of pasta. Hopefully.
Closing the door.
Is that all right?
Is that an Italian?
No, okay. This is going to be the bottom of our creation by the time it's done. You know, actually I said I might have done too much, but look how much there is left. Not. There might be a little bit left, but not too bad actually. Yeah, if you've made too much, try not to squeeze it in, because otherwise it will explode.
Not much left.
How much left? I think
that's like a little snackette for us in a moment.
In a moment. To finish off, a little Parmesan cheese again on the top, or on the bottom I should say. So we are now working in reverse again. And what I'm going to be putting in next, Julie?
Breadcrumbs.
Very good. And at last, a very, very, very small layer of breadcrumbs. Unfortunately, the audio stopped working at this point, so I thought I'll carry on with a voiceover. Apologies. So, but we are near the end anyhow. This is out of the oven, piping hot. I will leave it for a couple of minutes before I turn it around. And just like a frittata, I will put a plate underneath, turn it around, and I'm not going to leave it for a good 5 minutes before I touch it to allow the sauce and everything to set. Here I am praying that everything is going to work okay, and I will be very gently removing the tin, and you will see that just like magic, there it is. Wonderful, looking gorgeous. Isn't that great? There's a little sauce also seeping through, which is quite nice to see, and a little pasta. Next I will be using a steak knife, which I think is a little bit more delicate than the bread knife, to cut it, as it's still very warm and I don't want to spoil it really. And as I lift, you will see that there will be some cheese, I think it's some mozzarella, that will follow me. It is very stringy, and you can see there is also a little piece of egg, which adds to the colour, and it's looking really great. This is the inside. You can imagine if you have some friends coming around or some family, you present them with a meal like this, they will be amazed. It's so different and so delicious, and you can guess what is coming next. My usual test, and it was really, really hot, but really, really delicious, as you will gather from my expression. Wonderful. I've been saying at this point that it does remind me of Sicily, the taste, because actually when it's so rich, it's very much what they also make in Sicily, and the egg addition, it's quite special when you're making this dish, and of course the cheese also help. Anyway, at this point I'm going to say cheerio, and I'm going to be saying very much ciao ciao for now, and I will be thanking you for watching, and if you did watch it until the end, even if the audio didn't work, that's great. Thank you. Bye.